I thought I had left my past behind. 2.5 years ago, I made the hardest decision of my life and walked away from someone who almost destroyed me. I rebuilt everything from scratch, found peace, and moved to a new city. Life was finally good again. Then on an ordinary Friday evening while I was working from home, my doorbell rang. I opened the door and froze. Standing there was Melissa, the woman I had cut off, completely holding a baby in her arms. Her first words, "Jordan, we need to talk. This is your son." My blood ran cold. I knew without a doubt that could not be true. Before I tell you how I exposed her lies and protected myself from this nightmare, I want to ask you something. Where are you watching this from? Drop your location in the comments below. And if you want to hear how someone can have the audacity to show up after years with a claim this insane, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, because what happened next will show you exactly why some people never change, and how I made sure she would never manipulate me again. To understand why Melissa showing up at my door was so shocking, I need to take you back 4 years. That is when we first met at a corporate networking event downtown. I was 28, working as a software engineer, and she was 26, bubbly and charming. She had this way of making you feel like you were the only person in the room. We hit it off immediately. Within weeks, we were dating seriously. The first year was incredible. She was funny, affectionate, and seemed genuinely interested in building a future together. We would spend weekends hiking, trying new restaurants, and talking about our dreams. I started thinking she might be the one. My friends liked her. My parents approved. Everything felt right. I even started looking at engagement rings online. But around the 1-year mark, things started to shift. At first, it was subtle. Melissa mentioned she was having trouble with her credit card debt. She asked if I could help her out just this once. I gave her $800 without hesitation. She cried, thanked me, promised she would pay me back. A month later, she needed help with her car repairs. Another $600. Then her mom got sick and needed medication. $1,000. It kept happening. Within 6 months, I had given her close to $8,000. I never asked for it back because I loved her and wanted to help. She always had a reason that sounded legitimate. I trusted her completely. Then came the controlling behavior. She started checking my phone, constantly demanding to know where I was at all times. If I talked to a female coworker, she would accuse me of flirting. She insisted I cut ties with old friends, especially women I had known since college. At first, I thought she was just insecure, so I tried to reassure her. But it got worse. She would create dramatic fights out of nowhere, threaten to break up with me over the smallest things, then cry and apologize when I tried to calm her down. It was exhausting. I felt like I was walking on eggshells every single day. The final straw came on a Tuesday night about 2.5 years ago. Melissa had left her laptop open on the kitchen table while she took a shower. I was not trying to snoop, but a notification popped up on the screen. It was a message from someone named Travis. The preview said, "Cannot wait to see you tomorrow, beautiful." My stomach dropped. I knew I should not look, but something inside me said I needed to know the truth. I opened the conversation. What I found shattered me. Months of messages between Melissa and Travis. Flirty texts. Plans to meet up. Photos I had never seen. But what hurt most was a message where she talked about me. She called me her easy money boyfriend and joked with Travis about how naive I was. She said I believed everything she told me and never questioned her. She was playing both of us, but I was the fool bankrolling her life while she spent time with him. I took photos of everything with my phone. My hands were shaking. I felt sick. But I did not confront her that night. I knew if I did, she would twist it around, make herself the victim, and I would end up apologizing somehow. That was her pattern. So I made a plan. The next morning after Melissa left for work, I packed all her belongings. Every single item. I put them in boxes, left them by the door, and taped a note to the top box. All it said was, "I know everything. Do not contact me." Then I blocked her number, deleted her from all social media, blocked her email, and made sure she had no way to reach me. My company had an opening at a branch in another city, and I requested a transfer immediately. Within 2 weeks, I was gone. I ghosted her completely. No explanation, no closure, no second chances. I needed a clean break to heal. Those first few months were brutal. I questioned everything. How had I been so blind? Why did I ignore all the red flags? But slowly I rebuilt my life. I made new friends. I threw myself into work. I started going to therapy to understand why I had accepted such toxic behavior. Eventually I found peace. I moved on. And for 2.5 years I heard nothing from Melissa. I assumed she had moved on too. I was wrong. Which brings me back to that Friday night. Melissa standing at my door with a baby. I stared at her trying to process what was happening. She looked different. Her hair was messier, her face thinner, dark circles under her eyes. She was not wearing makeup. The confident, polished version of her I remembered was gone. The baby in her arms was fussy, squirming and whimpering. I should have slammed the door. I should have told her to leave. But curiosity got the better of me. I needed to know what kind of game she was playing now. So I stepped aside and let her in. She walked into my living room like she owned the place, sat down on my couch and adjusted the baby on her lap. The little boy looked about a year old, maybe 14 months. He had dark hair and brown eyes. I studied his face carefully. He did not look anything like me. Different skin tone, different features. Nothing about him reminded me of myself or anyone in my family. Melissa started talking before I could say anything. Her voice was shaky, almost rehearsed. She said, "Jordan, I know you are probably shocked to see me. I know you hate me after what happened, but I need you to listen. This is Danny. He is your son." I kept my face neutral. Inside, I was already doing the math. 2.5 years since I left. If she got pregnant right after I ghosted her, the baby would be almost 2 years old by now. This baby was clearly younger. Something was not adding up. She continued, her voice getting more emotional. "After you left, my life fell apart. I was pregnant with your baby Jordan. I had no one. Travis, that guy you probably saw in my messages, he disappeared when I told him I was pregnant. My mom got really sick, and then she passed away last year. I have been raising Danny alone. It has been so hard. I am drowning in debt. I cannot afford daycare. I am working 2 jobs just to keep us afloat." She started crying, real tears streaming down her face. The baby started crying too, reaching for her. She bounced him on her knee, trying to soothe him. "You are his father, Jordan. You have a responsibility. You cannot just run away from this. Danny deserves to have a dad. You owe him that much." I finally spoke. My voice was calm, measured. "Melissa, this is a lot to take in. How did you even find me?" She wiped her eyes. "It was not easy. You blocked me everywhere. But I hired someone to track you down. I had to. For Danny." She reached into her bag and pulled out a folded piece of paper. A birth certificate. She handed it to me. I looked at it. The baby's name was Daniel Matthew. Mother's name Melissa Ann Thompson. Father's name blank. Date of birth 14 months ago. "Why is the father's name blank?" I asked. "Because I was waiting for you," she said. "I wanted to do this the right way. I wanted you to be involved. I need you to sign the papers, acknowledge him as yours, and help me. I need child support, Jordan. I cannot do this alone anymore. If you refuse, I will take you to court. I will get a lawyer and force you to take a paternity test. But I am giving you the chance to do the right thing now." Everything about this felt wrong. The timeline. The way she conveniently found me after all this time. The theatrics. But I did not argue. did. I did not accuse her of lying. I stayed calm. Melissa, this is huge. I need time to think about this. You cannot just show up after years and expect me to make a decision right now. She looked relieved. Okay. Okay, I understand. Just please think about it. Here is my new number and my address. She scribbled information on the back of a receipt and handed it to me. Please, Jordan, do not take too long. We really need help. She stood up, adjusted the baby on her hip, and walked to the door. Before she left, she turned back. I know I hurt you. I know I made mistakes. But this is not about us anymore. This is about Danny. He is innocent in all of this. Then she was gone. I closed the door and locked it. I stood there for a long moment, staring at the birth certificate in my hand. My mind was racing. I grabbed my phone and started doing calculations. If the baby was 14 months old, that meant Melissa got pregnant roughly 23 months ago. I left her 30 months ago. That was a 7-month gap. There was no possible way this baby was mine. But I knew Melissa. She was manipulative. She was desperate. And she clearly thought I was still stupid enough to believe her. I was not going to confront her yet. That would only make her run or change her story. I needed proof. I needed to be smart about this. So I made a decision. I was going to gather evidence, protect myself legally, and expose her lies once and for all. The next morning, I called a lawyer. I found a family law attorney named Mr. Patterson who had excellent reviews. He was in his early 60s, calm and experienced. I explained the situation over the phone, and he told me to come in immediately. At his office, I laid out everything. The timeline, the birth certificate with no father's name, my suspicions. He listened carefully, taking notes. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair. Jordan, this sounds like paternity fraud. She is trying to manipulate you into accepting responsibility for a child that is likely not yours. Here is what you need to do. First, do not sign anything. Do not acknowledge paternity verbally or in writing. Second, if she pushes, demand a DNA test before you agree to anything. Third, document everything. Record your conversations with her if it is legal in this state. I asked, is it legal to record her here? He nodded. Yes. This is a one-party consent state. As long as you are part of the conversation, you can record without her knowledge. I strongly suggest you do that. Get her to talk. Let her tell her story multiple times. People who lie tend to trip up on details. I left his office feeling more confident. I had a plan. I went online and ordered a small, discreet recording device. Then I contacted a private investigator named Kyle. I explained I needed information on Melissa and someone named Travis. Kyle said he would get back to me within a few days. 3 days later, I called Melissa. I told her I wanted to meet to discuss everything. She sounded hopeful, almost eager. We agreed to meet at a coffee shop near her apartment. I arrived early, set up the recording device in my jacket pocket, and waited. When Melissa walked in, she looked tired, but put together. She ordered a coffee and sat across from me. I started carefully. Melissa, I have been thinking about everything. About Danny. About what you said. I want to understand the full picture. When exactly did you find out you were pregnant? She launched into her story. It was right after you left. I was devastated. I took a test a few weeks later, and it was positive. I tried to reach out to you, but you had blocked me everywhere. I was alone. I nodded, pretending to believe her. So you found out a few weeks after I left. That would have been about 2.5 years ago. She hesitated, realizing her mistake. Well, actually, I think it was maybe 2 months after. I was not tracking it closely because I was so upset. I kept my face sympathetic. That must have been really hard. And what about Travis? You mentioned he left when you told him you were pregnant. When did you tell him? Her eyes widened. Wait, how do you know about Travis? I shrugged casually. You mentioned him when you came over. Remember you said he disappeared. She relaxed slightly. Oh, right. Travis was just a friend I leaned on after you left. Nothing serious. When I told him I was pregnant with your baby, he freaked out and stopped talking to me. Some friend, right? I could hear the lies stacking up. I pressed further. So you are absolutely certain Danny is mine, 100%? Of course, she said firmly. Who else would it be? I leaned forward. Then you would not mind doing a DNA test, right, just to make everything official. For legal purposes. Her face went pale. She stammered. I mean, that is not really necessary, is it? Do you not trust me? After everything I went through. It is not about trust, I said calmly. It is about doing things properly. If I am going to be on the birth certificate and pay child support, we need legal documentation. A DNA test is standard. She stood up abruptly. I cannot believe you are making this so difficult. I came to you for help, and you are treating me like a criminal. You know what, forget it. I will just take you to court. She grabbed her purse and stormed out. I sat there watching her leave. The recording device had captured everything. Her story was already falling apart. Now I just needed the evidence from Kyle. 2 days later, Kyle called me. Jordan, I have got what you need. Can you come by my office? At his office, Kyle handed me a thick folder. Melissa Thompson and Travis Bennett. Here is what I found. Travis is married, has been for 3 years. He and Melissa had an ongoing affair that lasted up until about 6 months ago. I found social media posts, photographs, text messages from mutual friends. Travis is definitely the father of that baby. Look at this. He showed me printed screenshots. Photos of Melissa and Travis together at restaurants, parks, holding baby Danny. One photo had a caption from Travis, "My little man and his mama." The date was 5 months ago. There were also text messages Kyle had obtained through a contact. Messages where Melissa told a friend, Travis will not pay child support. He is scared his wife will find out. I am going after Jordan instead. He is gullible. He will believe me. I felt a surge of anger but also relief. I had everything I needed. Mr. Patterson reviewed the evidence and smiled. This is airtight. She has no case. Let me set up a meeting. Bring her here. We will confront her with everything and she will back off. I called Melissa and told her I was ready to talk seriously. I said I wanted to meet at my lawyer's office to make things official. She sounded excited, probably thinking I was about to sign papers accepting responsibility. She agreed immediately. The meeting was set for the following Tuesday. When Melissa arrived at Mr. Patterson's office, her face fell when she saw not just me and the lawyer, but also Kyle the investigator. On the conference table were printed photos, documents, and the birth timeline chart. Mr. Patterson started. Ms. Thompson, thank you for coming. We have asked you here because we have some concerns about the claims you have made regarding the paternity of your son. Melissa looked nervous. What do you mean Danny is Jordan's son? Mr. Patterson slid a piece of paper across the table. This is a timeline. Jordan ended his relationship with you 30 months ago. Your son is 14 months old. That means you became pregnant approximately 7 months after your relationship with Jordan ended. Is that correct? She opened her mouth, then closed it. Maybe I got the dates confused. He slid more papers toward her. These are photographs of you with Travis Bennett. Multiple photos over the past 2 years, including recent photos with your son. Travis is tagged in several posts referring to Danny as his son. Her face turned red. That is not what it looks like. Kyle spoke up. Ms. Thompson, we also have text messages where you explicitly stated your plan to claim Jordan as the father because Travis refused to pay child support. The room went silent. Melissa stared at the evidence, her hands shaking. I finally spoke. Melissa, I know Danny is not mine. I have proof. Travis is his father. You lied to me, tried to manipulate me, and attempted to commit fraud. You wanted to trap me into a legal obligation for a child that is not mine." She broke down crying. Not the manipulative tears from before, but real desperate sobs. "I was desperate. Travis will not help. His wife does not know I have no money. I thought you would help because you are a good person." Mr. Patterson's voice was firm. "What you attempted is illegal, Ms. Thompson. Paternity fraud is a serious crime. However, my client is willing to let this go under one condition. You sign a document admitting you lied. You agree never to contact Jordan again. You agree not to spread false information about him. If you do any of these things, we will pursue legal action for fraud, extortion, and defamation." She looked defeated. She signed the papers with a shaking hand. Before she left, I said one last thing. "Melissa, I am not asking for the $8,000 back that I gave you years ago. Consider it the price I paid to learn who you really are. But you need to leave me alone. Forever." She nodded, unable to look at me, and walked out. Mr. Patterson assured me I was legally protected. I had everything documented. She could not come after me. In the weeks after that meeting, I had to process a lot of emotions. I was angry. Angry that someone could be so manipulative. Angry that she tried to trap me into 18 years of financial responsibility for a child that was not mine. But more than anger, I felt relief. Relief that I had trusted my instincts. Relief that I had not signed anything in a moment of guilt or sympathy. I also thought a lot about the past. 2.5 years ago, when I discovered Melissa's betrayal, I made a choice that people often criticize. I ghosted her. I did not give her a chance to explain. I just disappeared. Some people say that is cowardly. But looking back, I know it was the right decision. If I had confronted her back then, she would have manipulated me. She would have cried, apologized, promised to change. I would have believed her. I would have stayed. And who knows what other lies I would have lived with. Ghosting her saved me. It gave me a clean break. It allowed me to heal without her constantly pulling me back in. And when she showed up years later with another lie, I was strong enough to see through it. I had learned my lesson. I started focusing on myself again. I reconnected with old friends I had lost touch with during my relationship with Melissa. I spent more time on hobbies I loved. Hiking, reading, playing guitar. I even got a promotion at work. Life felt full again. A few months after everything happened, I met someone new. Her name is Samantha. We met through mutual friends at a barbecue. She is a teacher, kind, honest, and incredibly grounded. We have been dating for a few months now, and it is different this time. There is no drama, no manipulation, just mutual respect and genuine affection. I am not rushing into anything, but I am hopeful. Samantha knows about Melissa. I told her the whole story early on because I believe in transparency. She was shocked, but supportive. She said, "You did the right thing. Protecting yourself is not selfish. It is necessary." That is when I knew she was different. I also learned some things about boundaries. For years, I was the kind of person who always tried to help, even when it hurt me. I gave Melissa money I could not afford to give. I ignored red flags because I did not want to seem untrusting or unkind. I let her control my friendships because I thought that is what love required. But real love does not require you to lose yourself. Real love builds you up. It does not tear you down. I learned that sometimes walking away is the strongest thing you can do. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself is to say no. And sometimes people do not deserve a second chance. As for Melissa, I heard through a mutual acquaintance that she eventually went after Travis legally. He is now paying child support, though his marriage is apparently rocky because of it. I feel bad for Danny. He is an innocent kid caught in the middle of his parents' mess. But I also know that he is not my responsibility. I did not create that situation. Travis and Melissa did. One thing I do not feel is guilt. I used to worry that I was being cruel by cutting Melissa off so completely. But after everything, I realized I was protecting myself from someone who would have destroyed me if I let her. She proved that when she showed up with a baby and a lie. She had not changed. She was still the same person who called me her easy money boyfriend behind my back. The only difference was I was no longer naive enough to fall for it. I think about that night she showed up at my door sometimes. How confident she was that I would just believe her. How certain she was that I had not grown or changed. It almost makes me laugh. She underestimated me. She thought I was still the same guy who ignored red flags and handed over money without question. But I am not that person anymore. I have learned to trust my instincts. I have learned to ask questions. I have learned that not everyone deserves access to your life. And I have learned that protecting your peace is not selfish. It is survival. So here I am. 2.5 years after I walked away from a toxic relationship. Months after I protected myself from a fraudulent paternity claim. And I am okay. More than okay. I am happy. I have good people in my life. I have a job I love. I have hobbies that bring me joy. And I have boundaries that keep me safe. Trust once broken can never be fully repaired. That is something I know now. Melissa broke my trust years ago, and when she came back, she tried to break it again. But this time I was ready. I did not let her. And I never will. Sometimes the best decision you can make is to walk away and never look back. You do not owe anyone an explanation when you are protecting yourself. You do not owe anyone a second chance when they have already shown you who they are. And you definitely do not owe someone your future just because they are desperate. I sleep better now than I have in years. I wake up without anxiety. I go through my days without wondering if someone is lying to me. I trust the people in my life because I chose them carefully. And if I ever see another red flag, I will not ignore it. I will walk away. Because I have learned that my peace is worth more than anyone's drama. And you know what? I have never slept better. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever had to walk away from someone toxic? Have you ever been manipulated or lied to by someone you trusted? Drop your story in the comments below. And if you think I did the right thing by protecting myself, hit that like button.